Hey guys, so it's Dirtpatcheaven here, and this feels a little bit like a segue from my normal content, but I think it's really in line with it. As you guys know, I have been paleo for quite a while now, and I wanted to talk about keto. My husband John lost 50 pounds in 8 to 12 weeks. He lost most of it in 8 weeks and then kind of trickled for the next 4 weeks. So he's lost a total of 50 pounds just with the keto. He didn't change his activity, or maybe he got a little bit less activity in that period of time. And I did paleo, just a more severe version of paleo for most of that time with him. And then at the end, he was just like, if you're really doing this with me, why don't you just do it with me? And I had just been doing it to keep him company. But finally, I was like, okay, I'll stop pretending that I'm kind of doing keto with you and I'll just do it. And I had some probably very typical reactions to keto. First off, it made me really sick. It made me nauseous. I didn't like it. And then I got on the scale and found that in 3 days I'd lost 6 pounds, and most of it was in my belly, which was kind of a new thing for me. I had been the same weight ever since I had been married. Whether I was pregnant or not pregnant, I pretty much weighed the same thing, with a very, very short blip of weight gain when I was eating a lot of carbs in Tulsa, eating a lot of noodles. We'd found some that I wasn't allergic to, and so I'd really, really been eating a lot of pasta. But during that time that John was doing keto and I was doing more severe paleo, I lost 20 pounds and then just went back to my normal weight, which was about 140 pounds. That's my normal weight ever since I started having babies. Now, when I started doing keto, that was a big surprise for me, because a 6-pound drop in 3 days when I'd been the same weight for years was kind of out of there. But I wasn't willing to keep doing it because I was getting really sick. So I went on a forum and I asked them, what do I do? I'm nauseous. I can't keep up this amount of fat. Oh, I just feel sick. I have brain fog. I'm not safe to drive. And they said, it's your electrolytes. Your electrolytes are so low. That's what's happening. And so I went and got some electrolytes. These are the ones that I got. They're called Endure. They're not flavored. They taste like seawater. And what they have in them is magnesium, chloride, sodium, potassium, and sulfate. And when I started taking these, all of a sudden everything changed for me. My brain fog went away. I had this huge amount of energy. I felt so good. And that was a really happy thing for me. The other thing people said I could do was the Mct Oil. I did not get much of a reaction, pro or con, to the Mct Oil, so I don't really recommend this. I felt it was an extra expense. But some of the things that I learned along the way were just how hidden carbs can be. And I'm not talking about healthy carbs. I'm talking about just plain old sugar. Like the other day, I was eating a Caesar salad, and I went and looked at how many carbs it was, and I'm like, 50 carbs in one salad? How is that possible? And I went and looked at the salad dressing, and it had a lot of sugar in it, and I didn't even know it. So this was one thing that kind of saved my butt, is the dining on a dime, because they have salad dressings in here that are made from sour cream and mayonnaise and cottage cheese and buttermilk and things like that. And you don't have to put sugar in them, and you're just using your nice seasonings in those fatty bases. So this was a lifesaver for me, and I won't be buying any more store-bought salad dressing, even though I love Bernstein's Italian dressing. It has, unfortunately, garbage in it that I don't want in my body. That's one of those things that kind of surprised me a little bit, even though it shouldn't have, is that you eat a lot less, and it's even more important to have everything be really high quality, because it really is difficult sometimes to get all those calories in. You don't want to go on a severe calorie restrictive diet when you're on keto. You want to make sure you're getting enough so that you can get fat adapted, so your body will start burning fat instead of glucose. But it's tricky. You can have like a gag reflex with that much fat. So you do want carbs. This is romaine lettuce, which is what I have with my hamburger. You can see that that's what I'm eating for lunch. And so I have a couple leaves of romaine lettuce. I have a little bit of salsa in my guacamole, and that's my carbs. And it's surprising how little green stuff I can eat that just kind of keeps that nausea of so much fat down. And over time, what's turned out is I'm cutting back on the quantity of what I'm eating, and generally after lunch I don't get hungry again. So they talk a lot about intermittent fasting with keto. And I have found that it just kind of naturally happens. You get to the point where you're like, yeah, I'm really not that hungry after lunch. I think I'll drink some tea around dinner time. I'll feed my kids, but I really can't eat anymore. And you really have to learn how to listen to your body. Without the carbs, you're not having cravings. You're just feeling hunger when you're hungry. And so if you're one of those moms who goes behind and eats up leftovers, which is something I've always done, is I get tired of seeing leftovers. I want the kids to eat all their food. I don't want them to be hungry again until dinner. And so a lot of times I'll go behind them and finish it up because I don't want to see the food wasted. Once I got onto keto, I found that I was much more prone just to get out a Ziploc and put food in a Ziploc and let them eat something for a snack out of a Ziploc. And I'm using leftovers a lot more because once you're full, you're full. The other thing is, after that initial 6 pounds, I did not lose any more weight. I stayed at that down in the mid-30s, 130 pounds-ish, up and down just a little bit here and there. But I didn't have any more big weight loss. What did happen, however, was that my rib cage went down significantly, very, very quickly. And that's where I was losing a lot of size. And in my arms, I was losing size and I wasn't losing weight. Now, that's me biking 10 miles a day or going out and riding very exhaustively, jumping, not just riding Western pleasure, but jumping and posting and very cardio horse riding, doing something like that every single day. And so no weight loss, but losing inches, going down 2 pant sizes, going down in dress sizes by like 4 dress sizes because it was all coming off my rib cage. So that's the difference that I saw. But the biggest difference I've seen is that I'm not craving. I'm not sitting there thinking about food all day. I think about food when I'm hungry, and then I cook something and then I eat it and then I don't think about it again. Whereas before I was thinking about food constantly. When's my next meal? I'm so hungry. I'm so snacky. I don't have any energy. I just want to lay here. And that's one of the things that really surprised me was when I actually figured out my macros on my little computer on my phone. What had happened is that my macros are not calories. I'm not doing like a Weight Watcher calorie restricted thing. Instead, what I'm doing is I'm looking at keeping my macros balanced, my fat balanced with my protein balanced with my carbs. And in doing that, it helps me keep track of what keeps me full. What do I like to eat? What do I feel a little bit sick after eating too much of? And so it wasn't about me being like, oh my gosh, I got to lose weight. I got to keep track of every calorie. Instead, it was like, what makes me feel good? And maybe I haven't eaten enough of that today. Maybe I could bring that up just a little bit. Maybe I could bring this down just a little bit and maybe I'll feel better. And that has been the case, is that I have felt amazing. And what I've noticed is that when I do things a certain way, I feel even more amazing. It's not that I feel worse. I just feel more amazing. And so that's the thing. The other thing is, you can eat too much fat. It is possible. And if you find that you're getting nauseous with that much fat, cut back your quantities of everything and find that point where it doesn't make you sick. Stay true to your macros as far as your ratios, but just cut back a little bit. For instance, it used to be I could eat 3 eggs, 2 sausages, and a plate of hash browns for breakfast. Now that I'm on keto, I can eat 1 duck egg cooked in butter. And that tastes really good and it gets me through. And then I'll eat something like this for lunch, which is 2 hamburger patties, 2 romaine lettuces, 2.5 pieces of bacon, and some guacamole and some mayonnaise. Not a lot of mayonnaise. And that's what I'll eat for lunch. But after lunch, I won't be hungry again. And so it will have been plenty, and I won't be snacking. I won't be thinking about chips and salsa. I won't be thinking about apples and everything else. And that'll be perfect. And when I do have good tart berries that are ripe in my property, I'll go eat a couple of those and I won't feel guilty about it. And the other big thing that I've noticed about the keto is how well the kids are doing on it. They're not eating the huge quantities of food. They're not having the big cravings. And the other night we made them a dessert, which was some apricot jam that didn't have very much sugar in it from our neighbor. What I did was pour cream over it, a lot of cream over it, and they each ate about 1/3 cup of it. It had less sugar in it than ice cream would have and a lot more fat. And they ate 1/3 cup of it and they were finished. They didn't want any more. They waited 3 days and then they ate the rest of it and they were full. So I'm really excited about that. My grocery bill again has been lower the kids haven't been so snacky. They haven't been so cranky about what it is they're eating, and I've been really happy with that. So a lot of salad dressing cookbooks taste really nasty, and this one doesn't. This has amazing, amazing salad dressing in it, and perfect for keto. And then if you want a regular old keto cookbook, this one is very good. It's called Simply Keto, and the reason I like it is because it's so simple. At most, you've got like 6 ingredients per entree. 6 ingredients. And so you're not packing a ton of stuff in your fridge and then being tired and not wanting to use it, and it's over flavored and that kind of thing. She has crispy fried pickles. Again, 5 ingredients. This one is bunless Philly cheesesteaks with 7 ingredients. You've got waffle breakfast sandwiches, 7 ingredients. You've got chicken cordon bleu, 5 ingredients. You've got things that are completely okay. You've got strawberries covered in stevia sweetened chocolate, and you can have 2 strawberries. And what you'll find is that the servings you want are a lot lower. You just don't want to eat as much. You're just not as hungry. Slow cooker beef bone broth. I make a lot of bone broth, and bone broth really helps with keeping your electrolytes up. It's fantastic. So she has a recipe for bone broth. She has cream cheese pancakes. And the one that I really liked in here was she has these blueberry mug muffins that are for the microwave. I don't use the microwave, but these little quiches. And I just really like that it gives you some good variety that's super simple. You don't have a ton of ingredients. You can see this. So I went and spent a whole day in at Barnes & Noble when I first decided to really get on this, and I didn't want to be nauseous anymore. And this was the book I brought home. It was quite expensive. It was almost $40. Yeah, it was almost $40 at Barnes & Noble, but I felt like I'd spent the time in there, and I owed it to them to buy it there. But you're welcome to get this. I will put the link below for my Amazon store if you'd like to support our channel. But this is what a meal looks like when you're keto, and it's delicious. The one thing is, I think sometimes we get addicted to those cravings. We get addicted to what happens when we have those cravings and then we fulfill it, and then we feel kind of the blah afterwards. You don't get that on the keto. Everything is so just straight line, no big blips. It reminds me, the old cravings themselves kind of remind me of an addiction. That you get addicted to that up and that down, because you don't get that with this. Food tastes good, but there's no it's not like your brain lights on fire when you eat it. It's just, oh, that tasted good. I'm ready to go on with my day. So if you're a mom like me who was just not feeling as good metabolically, and maybe was having a hard time because of cleaning up after kids and not having a huge amount of space to take care of herself, I think keto is incredibly mom friendly, and it doesn't have to be disgusting and gross with too much fat. Again, I highly recommend. In the beginning of this book, this girl lost 100 pounds in a year. She talks about it in the beginning and how to balance your macros, and I will put the link in the description below, the tracker that I used. Again, I was sick for the first 3 days because I really needed some electrolytes. It really matters how you do it. And then once I got into it, I tried for one day to do the Walls diet, which is supposed to have a lot more carbs in it. Healthy carbs, but 9 cups of carbs a day. And I did that for one meal where I kept the fat, and I did the zucchini noodles, and they were fantastic. They were so tasty, but I didn't put protein in it. And then I tried to do my fasting at night like I usually do, which is that I don't eat after lunch, and I got really, 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 really sick. I got kind of feverish. I felt cold. I just wanted to lay down and not move, and I started to get a sore throat, a little bit of a headache. And we were out at my in-laws that night, and John had made jalapeno poppers. We had some protein. We had some other things that had some fat there, and I ate way more than I usually do. Just for an hour, I just sat there and ate everything in sight that had any fat in it. By the time we went home that night, I was fine. I was just fine. So it wasn't that I couldn't eat zucchini, it was that I couldn't eat just zucchini and fat. I needed some protein. I needed to balance my macros. My macros were way out of balance with that meal. And if I'm not going to eat enough protein and enough fat with that meal, it means I do have to eat dinner. I can't skip. But if I eat something like this, I can totally skip dinner because I won't be hungry yet. So hopefully that was helpful. And again, you can see I do have carbs on the table. I can eat them. There's plenty of space for carbs. It's just they're not the main part of the meal. And I need to make sure I get enough fat, enough protein too. So we'll talk to you later.